Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Hope you're having a great day so far. So in this video we're going to focus on the Spider Tournament, focusing on Dark Elves. So this is a faction specific time attack or turn attack tournament. So the least amount of turns with this faction gets you the most amount of points. Basically, if you're going for these Titan points for a Titan points event, it's very important to try to stock up on these if possible during easy events. And all things considered, this is an easier event than the Fire Knight featuring the Demon Spawn faction. Dark Elves obviously has some MVPs in this faction for spiders specifically, so it's not too bad to do this tournament if you have some key champions. We'll go over that in this video right now. So let's hop over to the Dark Elves. So in this faction, if you have any of these key champions, you're definitely going to be able to do this faction tournament event relatively smoothly. So I'll mention some of these lesser ones, but the main ones is Mithrala. If you have Mithrala, this is going to be a really easy event for you for the most part. If you don't have Mithrala, the key is to have Hex. So Marianix actually has Hex and decreased defense, so she's actually a really cool champion. She books up to 100% chance. That's the thing though, not many people would probably have her. She was a fusion that was a traditional fusion. I believe the general sentiment from the community was that they probably skipped her because it was a difficult fusion and she was not really that hyped up. But if you have her, you can use her for AoE Hex. After that, Ruel actually is again an older fusion, but he's actually a pretty good hitter, and he also comes with Hex as well. Good thing about him is actually you don't need to book him to make use of this move, because in this tournament he's likely going to get maybe one chance to place this, and then that's it. That's all he needs to do. So you technically don't need to book this out to the cooldown, but of course booking him would give him more damage, which might be helpful. So he does an extra hit to enemies under Hex with his A2. So his A3 places it. It's 100% chance to place the Hex, and then his A2 has a double hit to enemies under Hex. But Ruel is definitely worth using if you don't have any books, if you don't have Mithrala or any other better option. This requires accuracy, of course, and of course Mithrala is the best option with the Hex, and then obviously team support abilities as well. So that's generally how we're going to be able to tackle hard difficulty for Spider. You need AoE Hex. If you don't have these champions, you're probably looking at curse set, or you're probably looking at normal mode. So again, in this video we will cover normal mode, a normal mode team, but obviously the MVP for this faction will be not a legendary, not an epic, but a rare, and it's going to be Coldheart. She's the probably MVP for this faction for this Spider dungeon. Obviously Heartseeker is going to do damage based on max HP. On normal mode, up to level 20, up to dungeon 20, this will deal more than 10% of the max HP. Beyond that, it's only going to get capped at 10%, and the turn meter reduction does not work in hard mode or 21 plus. So you're just using her for max damage, which is still good. So I'll showcase a run with dungeon 20 if you guys are doing it. Keep in mind these are pretty end game builds. I will go over some ideas for non-end game builds, but we will go over some of that right now. So basically, if you're stuck doing normal mode, you want to focus on these certain breakpoints and these dungeon levels. So depending on your progression, if you can only do stage, for example, you want to do the lower ends of these brackets, and then you want to do them as, you know, for the maximum points, right? You don't want to do 11 for the same point bracket as if you're doing a, you know, level 8, for example. So if you can't do 20 efficiently, look to do 17, 12, or of course 8. 8 and 12 you can probably do with just AoE damage dealers, like even just like KO or Ray, just guys that can do damage to the spiderlings. If you're at 17, you're probably looking at Coldheart. If you can do 17 with Coldheart, you're probably looking to try to do 20 as well. So I'll show you guys a 20 team. This is going to be the stereo, like very typical 20 team. If you have Lydia, she's going to go here. If you don't, maybe Ghostborn would work, or decreased defense, so Marianix might work as well. But it really comes down to how strong your cold hearts are. So your cold hearts have no crit damage cap. Make sure to build her with 70% crit rate and as much crit damage as you can. Accuracy is important on dungeon 20, so 200 accuracy. Speed wise, at least 150 speed. Let me double check. My mistake. It's actually 95 speed on the dungeon 20. So anything over 100 speed for the cold hearts, because they're only going to take one turn. Give them as much crit damage as you can put on them. And you might not even need 4 of them. You might need only 3 of them. I've seen this done in 4 turns with 3 cold hearts and decreased defense. But I think Lydia's decreased defense with weaken obviously allows the 3 cold hearts. You might need 4 cold hearts to pull off just decreased defense. So we'll go over this run here real quick. It's a very standard run. A lot of people will be running this. If you guys can do 20 efficiently with 4 cold hearts, minimum would be 3 cold hearts, and then you just stack up more crit damage on them. There is a fail rate on this. So my cold hearts are not jacked up in terms of crit damage. So I can shave off 1 turn. If I put more crit damage on my cold hearts. There is a fail rate on this if Lydia loses the decreased defense. I believe it will fail. If she fails the weaken, the 4th cold heart should be enough damage to finish off the big spider. So that's why you kind of bring 4 instead of just relying on 3. But of course, this is not going to be viable for everybody. If you have only 1 cold heart, you might be able to do a team like this. It'll be a bit slower, of course. So you kind of need like some Terminator reduction, some AoE, some team support, team sustain. But honestly, these kind of teams are going to just take too long. So I would definitely dial down the difficulty in terms of dungeon level and try to do a faster run on a lower level if you're struggling to do 20 with like a team like this, a slower team. So let's hop over to hard and see what we can do there. So on hard mode, so this is hard mode stage 10. This is the team that I will be using. 2 cold hearts, Lydia and Mithrala with the Painkeeper. So there's actually some really kind of annoying nuances with this team that I figured out. It took me a couple hundred energy of like trial and error to actually figure it out properly. You might see this team on other videos or maybe suggestions, but they're hardly ever 100%. Just because there's a couple things that the Spider does that really kind of throws this team off. So I'll go over that in this little video here. So we'll go over the team setup here, and I'll go over the stats as well. So like I said, this is a very end game build, but I believe these are the near minimums for this team to work so far 100%. But I believe there is a chance for this team to fail just because there are, you know, sorry, wrong team. Actually, no, that's the right team. There are probably ways for this team to fail since things can be resisted. So here we got a Mithrala, 276 speed. I do have bonuses from Great Hall, so the speeds are easier for me to reach. Obviously, this is going to be very difficult for most people. So see if you guys can do it. If not, then we can dial it down, do lower difficulties. I'll go over that in a second. Mithrala here, 276. You want her with good HP, so her shield is relevant. You want her with at least 330 accuracy, so she can land her Hex debuff. Hex priority and go first. Lydia, you want her, from my experience, you want Lydia to go faster than Mithrala. The reason why is because when Lydia goes first, the last 2 spiders will fall. Mithrala will place the Hex, and the Hex will cover all the spiderlings. If it was the other way around and Lydia places, and Mithrala goes first with the Hex, the 2 spiders fall, and then Lydia places the decreased defense and weaken, the 2 spiders will not have Hex, but will have decreased defense and weaken. But that doesn't matter because if the Hex is applied, the Hex will kill those 2 spiderlings when the big spider takes the damage, and then those 2 spiderlings will die. So if you have Mithrala first, Lydia second, those 2 spiderlings will have decreased defense and weaken, but no Hex. And then when the big spider takes damage, those 2 spiders won't die. And then the big spider will eat those 2 spiders, gaining more health. So if you're struggling to finish off the spider even by a little bit of damage, those extra 2 spiderlings worth of health that the big spider eats will prevent you from clearing this run. So that's a small thing that you probably should pay attention to. So Lydia first, Mithrala second. Lydia opens with the A2, decreased defense and weaken, of course. Cold Heart 1, 265. No accuracy needed. Roughly 240, 250 crit damage is probably enough for 10% of HP. There's calculators out there. I'm not going to bother explaining it too much, but I find 250 to work perfectly fine. You can probably do less since it's decreased defense and weaken. But anyways, you want them with good HP. I'd say at least 45k. I'm aiming for 50k, but you can tell that my cold hearts are not level 60 yet. So at 60, they'll probably be 50k. And then at least 1 cold heart that has to be really fast. 274. I found 274 to be the minimum that works with these 2 at these speeds. These 2 can be any speed, really, just the 2 fastest. But I find that you need 1 cold heart at about 274 or faster. And then of course no accuracy and just enough crit damage and HP. HP needs to be high to survive the AoEs because this team will be taking some hits. Finally, I use my Painkeeper because my Painkeeper is in my other Iron Twins teams, and so I didn't change anything. It's 256, works perfectly fine. Just has to go after the cold hearts and before the big spider goes. The big spider is 245. However, Lydia does place increased speed, so you guys can be below 245. But like I said, you guys don't want to be below 245, and you guys don't want to be too slow, especially with at least one of the cold hearts needs to be super fast so that you can fire off the last cold heart, the heart seeker, to finish off the big spider. Okay, and another tip, I guess, is Painkeeper, the A2. If it's fully booked, that's good, because the heal actually helps, keeps your team alive, because you'll be taking, I believe, at least 2 AoEs from the big spider, and if your team cannot survive, you're gonna lose some guys, and then that's gonna be it. So if you somehow also have like a weak Painkeeper, that's also kind of beneficial, because then the spiderlings will target the Painkeeper first, leaving the 2 cold hearts alive. However, it's going to be very hard to make Painkeeper lower HP than cold heart, so one of your cold hearts will probably die to spiderlings, but you'll just need 1 to finish off the big spider at the end. So let's go over this run here, and we'll see how it goes. So first, Lydia opens with the A2, and then you have Mithrala will go with the AoE Hex, and then the damage will be applied to everyone. The Big Mama only eats the 2 baby spiders, so only heals a little bit. If it was the other way around with Mithrala and Lydia, then the big spider would eat 4 spiders. So the cleanse comes in to cleanse off the turn meter sleep, and now they have to cycle back to the Heartseeker, so you have to actually stay alive here. So the healing helps tops them up, so they take a hit, survive. Now the buffs get refreshed. Okay, so we're gonna take another hit here, and then the babylings are gonna start going. So here we got a little lucky one, because sometimes my Mithrala will kill off maybe 1 spiderling, and then that will trigger off the hex, and then that'll do a ton of damage to the Big Mama. But usually it's going to take 1 more turn, or maybe 2 more turns, so 21 or 22. So between 20 and 22 turns, 65 points roughly for this. The highest I got was 70 points actually, but we'll do this again. Actually, that's pretty good, could be good. Alright, so we're on stage 1 here, just in case you guys have similar champions but you guys don't have the gear requirements. So like I said, you guys should start at the bottom of each of these brackets, so level 1 or level 5. I believe you want the void one. Sorry, level 5. Level 5 is spirit. That might work. Level 6 might work as well. So, but we're going to jump into level 1 just to showcase what this exact same team can do with the higher speeds. I'm pretty sure it should be a clear no problem. There's not necessarily a crazy speed tune that is required. They obviously need to go in the correct order. But let's see what happens here. That was kind of weird that the second cohort was not able to kill everybody with the hex. Oh, you know what? It could be... Actually, I'm not too sure. It's kind of strange. Okay, so the spider is eat. I just want to see if this team can actually do it on the lower difficulty. I think adding like... I mean, you could add like an AoE damage dealer here. Ruel would work pretty well with Mithrala if you guys have Ruel. That's really interesting. The damage doesn't transfer over to the Hex in the same way that it does on HARD10. That's kind of interesting. But I think this team should be able to deal with this team, deal with this stage. All right, so 35 turns, 49 points. I mean, it's not going to be as good as level 10, of course, but this is going to be the same team I'm going to be using for 10. So we can jump in there and do 10 again. It's a little bit smoother on 10 for sure. So we got the Hex going out. Heartseeker, and then the Hex damage transfers to all the little guys. She eats, decreases turn meter. Okay, the spiders start filling up again. Have to cycle back to the Heartseekers again. Okay, heal, so everybody's topped up. Decrease defense, Hex. Have to get back to the Heartseeker before the AoE comes. Alright, there we go. There we go, that's it. Alright, so hopefully the run goes as smooth as that. So far it's been perfectly fine. So hopefully it works out for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are using. Like I said, I tried a lot of runs with different speeds, and this is what worked out for me. So again, I'll show you guys the team setup one more time. So Lydia first, Mithrala, and then Cold Heart 1, fast Cold Heart, and then Painkeeper at the end after everybody, but faster than the spider. So okay. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. I do appreciate you guys' time. Best of luck on your tournaments and finishing off the Dungeon Divers and Spider event. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.